Stay connected to your community and save. Just 99 cents a month gets you 3 months of unlimited access to Inform.com. Visit Inform.com/subscribe and get your first 3 months of news for only 99 cents a month.
The name Probstfield is pretty well known in Moorhead, Minnesota. Now a new book digs deeper into the lives of Randolph, Catherine, and their family. Hi, this is Tracy Briggs, and welcome to Back Then. They look back from the black and white photo, he of the steely blue eyes and dark wavy hair, and she with a natural beauty and symmetrical face, a Civil War-era Selma Blair look-alike. But don't let the pleasing looks fool you. Randolph and Catherine Probstfield were tough as nails, and as some of the earliest European settlers in Clay County, they had to be. Carol Engelhardt, emeritus professor of history at Concordia College in Moorhead, is diving headfirst into this intriguing couple in his new book, By the Sweat of His Brow, the R.M. Probstfield Family at Oakport Farm. Among other things, the book examines the big personality of patriarch Randolph Probstfield. Engelhardt said, "He's a pioneer. He was here before the railroad. He was here before Fargo and Moorhead." But the book also examines how, while Randolph was making a name for himself in the Red River Valley in farming, insurance, and politics, Catherine was responsible for running the household and raising their 11 children. The couple actually had 13 children, but 2 died in infancy. Engelhardt said, "I think they were good partners together. You could call Randolph the patriarch, but I think he listened to his wife, and he was willing to consult her and follow her advice at times, and I think he trusted her to run the farm when he was gone." So let's talk about how they came to the Red River Valley in the first place. Well, R.M. Probstfield was 20 years old when he emigrated from the Rhineland to the United States, after defying his Catholic parents' insistence that he become a priest. After working for a time chopping wood in Wisconsin and Michigan, working as a roustabout on the Ohio and Mississippi rivers, working in St. Paul and San Francisco, he learned of the unmet potential of the Red River Valley's rich soil. Engelhardt said, "There was a lot of talk about the Red River Valley. The railroad survey was going through, and so there was interest in where it would cross the Red River." The ambitious Probstfield saw the opportunity and over the course of the next few decades planted the seeds to create a life in the valley. It was while living in St. Paul that he met Catherine Goodman, the American-born daughter of a prosperous German immigrant farm family in Indiana. They got married in South Bend, Indiana in 1861, and after living at the Hudson Bay Post, eventually traveled by covered wagon from St. Paul to Georgetown, Minnesota. In 1868, they built a log cabin north of Moorhead in what would become Oakport Township. The homestead preceded the development of Fargo-Moorhead and became an important stopping point for land as well as river travelers of that time. The log cabin still stands today and is even open to the public. Now, while the Probstfields have been credited with being the first European settlers in the county, Engelhardt said there were a total of 3 German families settling in the region around that same time, so it's really difficult to know exactly who was first. But what we do know is that the Probstfields made their mark right away, with Randolph being a pioneer of truck farming, selling vegetables to railroad construction crews. He also put his onions on the trains west to Bismarck. Engelhardt said he had a tremendous interest in plants and vegetables and fruit, and his work with that earned him recognition by the Minnesota State Horticultural Society. The family also became deeply involved in building their new community in Clay County. They helped in the development of educational and social activities for other settlers that followed them into the area. Randolph not only built the first schoolhouse, but also served as a teacher for the community-organized school, and was also instrumental in formally organizing both the school district and the township. It's not surprising, then, that today's Moorhead School District administrators work in a building named the Probstfield Center for Education. In the 1890s, Randolph tried his hand at politics. He was elected to the Senate as the Farmers' Alliance representative, which turned into a third-party movement, and when the Populist Party was formed, he joined that. Englehart said he was battling for justice there. The farmers had a tough time in the Great Plains in a period of declining prices. They didn't think they were getting a fair shake by the railroads. And so the Grange movement, the Farmers' Alliance, the Populist Party were all organized to try and correct those injustices. And Probstfield was in the thick of that fight. Now, while Englehart said Randolph and Catherine's grit and determination served them well as they homesteaded and in Randolph's work in politics, it's also pretty clear that Randolph rubbed a lot of people the wrong way. Englehart said, by all accounts, Probstfield was a rather difficult personality. There was a British visitor to Georgetown who called him an opinionated North German. In fact, the title of the book, By the Sweat of His Brow, comes from a scathing letter Randolph wrote about his parents trying to force his sister into an arranged marriage and forcing him into the clergy. He wrote, "If I had promised to be a priest and kept my word today, I would be a fettered-up, high-living hypocrite in this so-called vineyard of the Lord, and not a farmer earning his bread by the sweat of his brow." Englehart said Probstfield had a lifelong capacity for righteous anger and outspoken denunciation of unjust acts. He ended up filing many lawsuits against people he thought had wronged him, and most of the time he lost those cases, and a lot of money along the way. Even a granddaughter who wrote a novel about Randolph in the 1950s imagined him as a man who, quote, spoke in an unnecessarily loud voice. Englehart says, he doesn't come across as a very appealing personality. However, it appeared that Catherine might have had a knack for mellowing him out at home. Englehart said, I think she had a good sense of humor. I think she had a great deal of affection for him. His harsh personality doesn't come through in the family. Englehart's book on the Probstfield, he's previously published 4 other books, is based in part on journals 2 generations of the family kept from 1873 to 1964. Those journals detail the daily struggles of life on the farm, from keeping the home warm to getting food, to cutting wood, raising crops, and even children. Englehart said his background as a farm kid from Iowa helped as he wrote the story of one of Clay County's most famous farm families. He said, it's heartwarming at times and heartbreaking at other times. You get some idea of the pioneering life and what it's like to start up and just how much work that was. Carol Englehart is doing a presentation and book signing at 2:00 Sunday, February 19th, 2023 at Zambro's Variety Bookstore in downtown Fargo. Books will be available there. He's also doing a book signing at the Yemcomp Center in Moorhead at 6:30 Tuesday, March 21st. And the book is also currently available at Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and Friesen Press Bookstore. Thanks for listening. I hope you check us out next time on Back Then.
Get reliable and accurate local news with Inform.com. Inform.com is your trusted local news source with journalists dedicated to keeping you informed about what's happening in your community. Visit Inform.com now.